Hey everybody! Today I'll be talking about the Nancy Drew mystery stories, the fifth book, The Secret at Shadow Ranch. I have read the first four, but it's before I started my BookTube channel, and I don't feel like I remember enough for a retro review. So I'll just be starting off with the fifth book and probably going on from there, and if I for some reason complete them all, maybe I'll backtrack with the first four. The fifth book in the series, The Secret at Shadow Ranch, and it's written by Carolyn Keene, but that's a ghostwriter or like a pseudonym that they've been using that name since the 1930s until present day. The first 23 books was written by Mildred Benson, and basically, the story involves Nancy Drew going to Arizona near Phoenix to a ranch, and there's been a bank robbery in town, and there's also talk of going back to the past, about the mid 1800s or so, where there was a cowboy who was in love, or kind of like a, I'm trying to think of the word for it, like a bank robber or a bad guy for the in the cowboy days. He was in love with the sheriff's daughter. He got killed, but he left treasure for his sweetheart who lived on the ranch. And going back to present day, there's someone looking for the treasure as well. And this is a couple days or weeks after the bank robbery in town occurred. So Nancy Drew and two of her friends, Bess, who is more of the girly girl type, and Georgina, or Georgie. Um, she's more of a tomboyish type of girl. Basically, Bess and George are are two cousins, and they invite Nancy Drew to Arizona to stay at the ranch with them. There's also been a kidnapping. There's a lot of stuff going in the story, and it's not very long either. It's only like 175 pages. And so basically, uh, the bank manager got kidnapped, and the daughter of the kidnapped man is staying at this ranch too, whose name is Alice. So basically, the whole story involves them trying to figure out who robbed the bank, where the treasure's at, and who's trying to steal the treasure. There's also a thing with a phantom horse riding around that it glows. I won't tell you how it glows or anything, but there's no rider to it. It's just a horse that glows that walks around, and people are very scared of it who live on the ranch, and they connect it to the mishaps going on at the ranch to have them try to scare off. It kind of reads like a Scooby-Doo mystery where, there's someone bad, they're trying to scare off everyone so they can look for the treasure. Um, and it's a good story. I might recommend it if you just started the Nancy Drew series. Starting off with this one, honestly, all five I've read, this is probably my least favorite. Um, it's just written very differently, even though it's the same author of the first four books. Maybe it's because I'm not very into Western stuff much, but it's a very different story. It is definitely different. Would I recommend it? Yeah, if you read the first four books, why not? It's not a very long read. You can get it done and over with in a day if you really wanted to. But the only thing that I found kind of like, maybe a couple things. The one with the kidnapping of the bank manager, no one seems overly concerned except the daughter, and who I mentioned was Alice, and she's 14. Nancy Drew and her friends are about 18, 19 years old. and nobody, like, it's always just kind of mentioned in passing. Oh yeah, my dad's kidnapped. I wonder if he's here. I wonder if he's here. I wonder, you know what I mean? But it's only brought up very sparingly throughout the novel. They're more concerned with the treasure. Excuse me. They're more concerned with the treasure. And I don't know. If my father was kidnapped, I'd be more concerned about that than the treasure itself. This is very much a novel for its time. And this novel, I find it very odd. It always seems like, even though it is the same author who wrote the first 23 books, they seem also different from each other. The only thing that really connects them is like, oh, at the beginning of the book is like, this is what the mystery was before. And then at the end, it's like, this is what the mystery is going to be next. And then even mentions the title of the book. But this one talked a lot about her hair. And Nancy Drew's blonde. But in this book, and from what I mentioned, or from what I remember from the first 4 books, it doesn't mention as much. But every time it explains her hair, it's always like her Titan blonde hair, her Titan hair, Titan this, Titan that. I'm telling you, it's mentioned a lot through this book. And I don't know, it's just very odd to me. Um, You can tell this was written definitely in the 30s, just with the moral attitudes, the way women are described. And the this one, you can tell it's a novel for children, or at least young adults for that time period. The characters are still a little too dimensional. They're kind of flat in a way, but it's still a good read. It's like watching an older movie. You honestly, reading this book is like watching an older movie. You get a real sense of history with it. Not so much with the story itself, just how it's written. And I recommend it if you do enjoy mysteries, or if you do want to know more, not know more, but kind of see how life was like then, or how the media intake was back then. It's a very interesting historical read, and I do continue to plan on reading Nancy Drew farther in the future. As again, if this, I wouldn't start off with this book. I would actually continue in the series. I know you can find them on most book websites. A lot of them have been. I think the first 73, or maybe all of them at this point, have been reprinted. So you can find current issues, and then there's offshoots of the original Nancy Drew mystery stories. I can't think of them offhand what they're called, but yeah, I recommend it. It's something interesting, and it's a very light read. It's not something you have to really dedicate a lot of time to. So I recommend you pick it up when you ever get the chance on a rainy day or a snowy day. And thank you for watching. Bye, guys.